Hi, welcome back. The truth is, I suffer from a bit of anxiety, which means I get very self-conscious about the stuff that I'm doing. So one of the reasons why I'm bunging out so many videos right now is because I'm in the mood and I've kind of got the mood due. So I'm trying to get as many videos done, trying to get as many recordings done as possible, whilst I've still got that before my breath starts getting short and I start to tingle, and then I realise that it's not worth it. I should just stop. So excuse if I'm bombarding videos out at the moment. I do apologise, and I also apologise if suddenly I stop. You don't hear from me for a few weeks. So just the way my mind works. So today I wanted to speak to you about Deep Space. Deep Space, the space adventure role playing game. This is the printer friendly version of it. Basically, it's a role playing game that I designed because I'm a massive fan of. In fact, these are the front cover on my phone, which you probably can't see properly, but I'll put a link anyway in the description and everything below. This is very high tech, isn't it? So because of my love for science fiction role playing games, I'm a massive fan of Traveller. I've not played it for a long time, Traveller, and I've just started playing the Mongoose edition on Sundays. We've got a campaign going now. It's been going since the middle of last year, and I'm absolutely loving it. I kind of missed out on what Traveller really was in the 1980s because we were using it to emulate our own favourite science fiction stuff, especially Star Wars. We didn't have a Star Wars role playing game at that point until the D6 system came out for it. And then I kind of owned Mega Traveller and a couple of other versions. I've got Traveller the New Era, the paperback version down here. I picked up Traveller 5th. But Mongoose edition, absolutely brilliant. And I bought some of the POD supplements for it as well. And luckily, a couple of the guys that are in my gaming group have been playing Traveller for 30, 40 years. So yeah, it's a pretty good group. So I've got the passion, the drive, and they've got the knowledge. So it makes for a pretty good group. So anyway, I love games like that. I love that kind of space exploration games. So when I originally designed Deep Space, it was going to be just another space adventure game. So it's a D12 system. You get 11 skills. And you split up the numbers between, I'm reading my own rules here, you split up numbers between 1 and 11 between those skills, and basically the die roll is a d12, because the d12 is, as everybody knows, the greatest die in the world, so I've got a massive one up there. And you roll a d12 and you add your skill level, and you've got to beat a target number of 13, and then the skill levels are adjusted depending on the difficulty of the task. So it's raised if it's easier, it's lowered if it's harder, of course. And things like combat and opposed rolls. You just basically roll a d12, you add your skill level, and then whoever rolls highest wins, and you just re-roll ties. So yeah, very very simple system, and it allows for character diversity so that you can have any kind of character that you want. The game doesn't really specify what kind of things you're doing. It's kind of very the original rules anyway is a very generic science fiction role playing game. So you can have traders, entertainers, assassins, smugglers, navy people, whatever you want to do. The game is very very malleable and easy to adapt, so you can change it to whatever you want. It's even got a little section in there for extra skills. So if the 11 skills don't cover everything that you want your character to do, you can actually make up your own skill. So it could be anything from cooking to singing to rock climbing, anything like that, something very specifically focused. And then you can add that to your skill roster as well, which starts with its own starting score. So, and then there's hit points on top of that. So it's very basic. You roll a d12 or d2, d4, d6 plus the damage rating, and then you take that off your hit point. 0 means death, etc., etc. And it's all very, very obvious. And it's only. But the great thing about it, the thing I think's great about it anyway, blowing my own trumpet, is that it's only 4 pages long. So on the first page, you get character creation and how to make rolls. That's that page. On the second page, you get non-player characters, creatures, vehicles, and starships, and how to build your own. That's on that page. And then the next page is all about building your own star systems, random roll chart star systems, which I want to expand on in the future. And adventures, the kind of adventures that you can run. That's that page. And on the last page, you got experience, so that you can your characters can improve over time and get those skills up. You can introduce new skills, etc. And then you've got optional rules for aliens, and then starting equipment if you want to do that sort of thing. Extra skills, of course, and then a very, very basic setting, which is on the very, very last page. So yeah, it's really, really simple. Those core rules alone could keep you in games for a long time. Is it beginner friendly? No. If you're looking to buy a simple role-playing game, it's going to explain how role-playing games works and all that sort of stuff, you're not going to find it here. This is basically the framework of a system that experienced gamers can use. The only time I would think people would use it as a beginner game is if you as the GM are introducing people to role-playing and you want a nice simple system, and this is perfect. If you know what you're doing and you know how the system works, you can translate that easily to new players. But if you're cold to role playing and this is your first system, yeah, you're going to get a bit confused. I'm going to be honest. But yeah, it works. It works. It really works. I'm really happy with it. I've made a couple of changes to it since it came out, better part of a year ago, and yeah, I've kind of tinkered with it and improved. And the great thing about it, it's only cost £1. It's just £1. That's all. That's all you're paying for. You're getting 4 pages. You're probably getting hours and hours worth of entertainment, and it's just £1. It's less than a cup of coffee. Less than half a cup of coffee. So which is I think is quite cool. I've used it for other games as well. I've done like a Cthulhu one and there's a submarine one and all bits and bobs. I mentioned that in my last video. But the great thing about this is the fact that I've also created a setting for it and a whole bunch of adventures. At the moment there's 12 adventures. There's 4 source books, and then there's 4 supplements. So the source books are a lot of background stuff, things about the moon, things about different nations, and then the source books sort of expand on things. So there's an expanded starship system, there's expanded things you can do with your characters, some extra optional rules for the players. And each one of these is about between 1 and 3 pages long. I think one of them's 4, but basically they're about 2 pages long at the most. And again, they're all just £1 each. You can get them in a bundle, which is quite nice. You get it a little bit cheaper, but yeah, it's £1 each. So yeah, really, really, as far as I'm concerned, really, really good value for money. As far as the settings are concerned, yes, you can use it for whatever you want. But the setting that I had in mind was that I'm a big fan of Alistair MacLean books and films, and I think I was designing this, I was doing something for it, and I was watching Ice Station Zebra, and then once I start down the Alistair MacLean path, I kind of just, as far as movies are concerned, and then it was Where Eagles Dare and Guns of Navarone, you know what I mean? So the Guns of Navarone, which is brilliant. I mean, I love those films. So that sort of gave me this idea, and then I started looking more into, especially because of Ice Station Zebra, about the Cold War. So the setting idea that I had was, what if in 100 years' time everybody's out in space and doing their thing with spaceships, but what if we'd taken all our problems with us, so it started a new Cold War in the future? So you'd have these different nations, and basically they're all working against each other. There's no real big wars yet, so they're fighting wars like proxy wars with other smaller nations, like kind of like Vietnam, that sort of thing. So they're fighting these little wars, but the big superpowers haven't yet gone to a big war because they've developed these antimatter explosives and they wipe out entire planets. So everybody's kind of being cold about it, being Cold War about it. So that's the setting. Originally, it was going to be you basically take your own country or your continent or whatever into space, and that's what you base your nation on. But I am slowly starting to churn out some nations. I've done the Conglomerate, which is a kind of a totalitarian state. There's another one called the Capital States, which is, well, it says it's democratic, but it's obviously not. So I'm adding all these little elements, and they're basically frameworks, and same with the adventures as well. It sort of gives you situations to play with and encounters, and they're frameworks for games masters and gaming groups to sort of expand upon. So yeah, in total, yeah, I think including the core rule book, there's about 22 different PDFs out at the moment, which you'll find. Again, I'll put the link in the description, which you'll find over at Farsight Games. And I am really happy with it. As far as aesthetically, you'll tell that from the book covers of the actual PDFs, and you'll see as it goes along, it gets more and more like them. But I'm a massive fan of the old sort of 60s, 70s science fiction pulp covers. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Some of the artwork on some of those covers are absolutely stunning, and that's kind of what sort of drove me, that kind of aesthetic, that kind of look and that kind of feel. So I figured if I'm going to set it during a Cold War in space, then I might as well use the artwork from the Cold War. So, but you know, whatever you bring to the table is whatever you make of the game, really. So yeah, that's it. So that's Deep Space. I'm really happy with it. I'm hoping to get it translated into different languages. I'm working on Polish at the moment. We're looking at Japanese as well in the near future. It's doing really, really well. It's actually quite popular. There's a couple of playthroughs which I've done, which again I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, it's all good fun, and I'm hoping to do a lot more with it in the future. So that's it. That's it for this one. Let me just get on the stop button there. So that's it for that. So thanks very much, and hopefully I'll speak to you again soon. So thanks for listening. Ta-ra.